This is Morten from INKISH. We are together with our friends from Carte, and it's actually quite nice because I have met Michael so many times, and Michael, you just got a new role with Carte. So what is your new role?
My new role is I'm the Global Director for Digital Embellishment Solutions.
Digital embellishment and Carte is something that goes hand in hand for some time, of course. The first time I heard about it was basically in relation to Steinmann. You acquired Steinmann DPE in Switzerland. And I take that as the basis of where you have developed, right?
That's one of the bases where we've developed. We also made an acquisition of a company named Imprint, and they're here at LabelExpo as well. And they added to the depth that we have on digital inkjet technology.
And before we turn on the camera, we're going to talk a little bit in details about the technology in a second. But before we do that, basically you serve both inkjet technology, toner-based technology, print on plastics, print on paper, but you also have still a huge analog business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is, will the world entirely go into digital in your opinion?
No. And you and I talked about this a little bit when we were in the United States. Our focus is just embellishment and growth and embellishment. So there's always going to be hot stamping applications, cold transfer applications, but digital opens up new doors for even new applications. And that's the most important part. We're not necessarily trying to dislodge any current technology. We want to find the right technology for the right applications.
One of the things that I know that has been in the, let's say, a concern among the brand owners and also maybe some converters and PSPs is obviously the environmental impact that you see from using these kind of technologies. Is that something that has any evidence, or is it more like an emotional kind of thing if you look at it?
No, I mean, it's an important question, right? Sustainability is in front of all of us today. So what we try to get across when we talk about a transfer foil is that what we're really transferring is layers of gravure printing, really a lacquer package onto the substrate. So it's completely sustainable in that you can recycle that package even after it has a metallic decoration. I think then where it spreads further is we talk about in the manufacturing process, what are we doing to be sustainable there? Whether that would be Kurz with their own solar power facilities, how we recapture different things in our manufacturing process to reuse them, or some of our latest advancements in our transfer foil where we've cut the PET carrier totally in half. So half of what used to be waste is now gone. So those are important parts, of course.
And so when you, just to be 100% precise about this, so that basically means that when you use metallization, which is probably the more correct word of what we're doing, the carrier is one thing, the metallization is another thing, and the metallization is environmentally friendly and a very viable alternative to some of the other kinds of embellishment because you basically have something that is very sustainable, right? And then you have the carrier left, because I know that in Europe you have, for some time, you have worked on having some kind of recycling system for the carrier, basically, right?
Yeah.
How is that going?
It's going well. We've moved into what we call Recosis 2.0, the next generation of that. And that's an available service now throughout Europe, where that PET carrier can be returned. We actually have an exhibit over here that shows some of that recycled PET and the markets and where it's used. And people can learn about that at LabelExpo as well.
So basically, people should be, with good confidence and good conscience, basically use all the Kurz products. That's what you say, right?
Well, of course, that's
of course.
what I would say.
I mean, I couldn't have put myself better, right? Okay, I didn't put myself better. Okay, fantastic. No, sorry. So Michael, when we look at the technology delivering it, one thing is that you said we have the hot stamping and also the cold foil transfers that we have seen through many iterations now, right? Digital embellishment seems to be like the hottest, also at a show like LabelExpo. And with both the innovation area and also with the machines that you have here on the booth, what do we see here? What is the important thing to learn from here?
I think the biggest thing to take away right now is there's three primary technologies in digital embellishment. One is where we transfer with a toner. A second is where we inkjet print on the back of transfer foil, and the third is where we print on the actual substrate. Those are really the three technologies in the world today. And we have all of those on display here at LabelExpo. Up in the automation arena, you can see transfer on toner. And here on our exhibit, you can see our inkjet on transfer foil, and then the machine behind me, inkjet on substrate.
When you have these different technologies, do people need to buy all three technologies, or is it depending very much on what kind of application you run? Or
It's definitely dependent on the application. So inkjet on substrate technology has a limitation in that to a certain degree, uncoated open structured substrates are not necessarily the perfect match, because when we put that inkjet onto that substrate, the substrate serves like a sponge, right? So if your substrate is open structured, our 2D inkjet on the transfer foil is a better solution for that.
so just to be very sure, that is like if you have like plastics, or if you have, let's say, smooth surfaces, then the machine we have behind us is perfect. But if you have something that is more rigid, then you use the other solution, basically.
Or maybe something like a wine label or a spirits label that is uncoated paper stock. This technology is not a good match with those substrates. The 2D inkjet is. What the 2D inkjet doesn't deliver, though, is that tactile 3D effect that we're able to create here. So it's about finding the right application, right substrate, and then matching the technology.
One thing I can't help think about is that when you look at what comes out of the machines, I always been, also you have on the back side of your booth here, you have so many different applications showing the beauty that comes out of these machines, right? I was just thinking that, I think that one of the concerns a converter might have is always like, is this only for short runs, or is it also starting to become so economically viable that you can use it for longer runs? Or who is buying this, and for what kind of size?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we're starting to see a little bit more expanse on the run lengths, okay? There's always certainly an economic question, but there's also a timing question, right? So on a conventional application, like it or not, we have to wait for tooling, and we have make ready. So there's a period of time that's measured at site by site, how good they are at that. But when it becomes digital, if we have a customer who needs it now, the moment we get the file, we can begin production. And sometimes it's worth additional cost for that. And people won't stop at just short runs. So we're seeing more applications that are going into longer runs. Additional versioning, a long run, but chopped into multiple versions, because you can with digital, and you can't on the conventional side. So we're starting to see those applications grow.
Another question that I can't help think about is that we're here at LabelExpo in Brussels. You see a lot of hybrid machines. So you're from literally all vendors today, right? I mean, because Kurz obviously also have an interest in being part of the value chain when it comes to inline production of both, let's say, cold foil, hot foil, digital embellishment. You also deliver that range of products, right?
We do. So at each one of the
so we just don't talk about these machines, because I think that we went to the Mark Andy booth where we saw also a Kurz device on top of the new Pro line, right?
So each of our digital technologies, we can integrate inline, whether that be on press or on a converting line. And then we have, like what's at the Mark Andy booth, a device that allows them to do registered images like holograms or our spatial effects products.
It must be amazing times for you guys, right?
It is a good time.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be part of all these cool projects that are going on.
When you look at the let's say the digital thing that you are responsible for, right? I was just wondering, is the adaptation to market, is that going per plan, or is it? I mean, because I remember, I think at the last LabelExpo in not in Chicago, but the last one here in Brussels, I think one person told me that this is a very conservative industry, and I was just wondering, how do they? I mean, do they appreciate all these new things that you see here?
Yeah, and what's been interesting, especially today, is companies that we met in Chicago We met them here today, and they've really educated themselves now on the different technologies.
So now they know, basically.
And now they have a good, strong feeling of, we think we know which application and which technology fit in our group. So I think we've taken 12 months to do a lot of learning, right? And that's a fantastic thing, because now we're talking about much more serious applications.
Fantastic. Must be fun to be here.
Morten, thank you.
Michael.
Really appreciate it.